What up, crew? What's good? And specifically, my YouTubers. Listen, I always come on here first before I record the pod. Oh, forgot my mouse. Definitely need the mouse because y'all know I can have to stop and edit it real quick while I'm in the mode. So everything is going good for me this week. I feel like it's going by fast, but whatever. It is what it is. We gonna make it do what it do. You feel me? I don't know why I feel like this light is just too freaking bright. Maybe I need to turn off this. I want to decorate my background a little bit more. But your girl, we gotta be careful with these coins. Okay. We gotta spend and use money wisely. I was just having a conversation with my friends and we were like, the feelings that we get when we gotta check our budgets, it's like, oh. One of my friends was like, she feels it in her gut. I feel it in my shoulders. It's like your body be telling you what to do. We just need to listen to it. But yeah, but other than that, it's been a good week. Super excited to always come on and record. I'm not going to talk about this on the pod or here. I had someone ask, are you going to talk about pop culture sometimes? And no, I'm not going to talk about pop culture on this podcast. I just feel like it's cool to have fun and talk about it, but it's one of those things where I don't care. I don't care. It's not something I can control. It's not something I can do about it. And sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, they get totally riled up about people they don't even know. We never know the whole story about these people's lives. We don't know the whole story about our sister cousin life that we got something to speak on. And I just feel like I'm not finna waste your time or my time, specifically because when you come on this podcast or this YouTube channel, I want you to disconnect from the distractions that's keeping your energy occupied by things that do not dictate your life. And so that's why on this particular pod and YouTube channel, I won't be discussing those things because my goal here is to help you grow and elevate into a space where you're a better person. And I feel like when you're trying to do that, the stuff that's going on in the media that tends to take over is a distraction. And until you heal and know it's entertainment and a distraction until you where you need to be, there's no point in me talking about that. And if you want to talk about that, there's other podcasts that can do that. You're just not going to get it here. Okay? Okay. So, headphones are on. Mic is on, but mic needs to be plugged up. Let me talk about these challenges. The challenge that I had today with my computer and my printer. I just felt like everything was resetting for some reason, but whatever. I'm just roll with it. It printed all wrong. It printed long instead of the other way. And in actuality, I was about to spend so much time on it. And then my brain was like, Sade, why are you spending so much time on something that really don't even matter? Get this podcast recorded so you can call it a day. Okay? So that's exactly what I decided to do. I'll figure that other stuff out later with my computer. But let's get going. Prepared. We got outline, check. we have our books. We have the pages marked, check. And let me set a little background. I get nervous before I do this podcast, really nervous. And when I get nervous, I have a nervous laugh. So someone was like, it trips me out when you do that little fake laugh of yours. But honestly, that laugh is because I'm either laughing at myself, or I'm nervous in the moment and trying to articulate it properly where you understand it. So that's just how I get through the pod. I do have like a nervous laugh. I just did it. I'm explaining myself and I'm a little uncomfortable. And so it comes out in a laugh. And so that's a little side note. But I do get nervous. And then what kind of helps me, and you'll see in the YouTube channel, you won't hear it on the podcast because I edit it. But my outline looks so long is because when I'm writing it, I'm literally speaking from here, and I want to make sure I'm portraying that on here. So you might see me in the video doing this, and it's because I'm just reading it and I don't want to like get distracted or tongue-tied because my nerves tend to take over. So yeah, that's a little background about me. But you know, we keep it pushing, we keep it going, right? Because what else we gonna do? Nothing. Psych. Shy, they gonna do something. We gonna do something. All right. Let's get on. Someone did give me the idea of like going live again as I do the podcast. I'm thinking about it. Let me know what you guys think. Is that something that y'all want me to go live as I'm recording? The thing is, I definitely try to record by Saturday so I can have it edited and ready to go. But I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. And be open to, I'm open to ideas. Remember, if you have a book, a book that you want to refer, I'm open to that too. All right, let's get our tracks on. We got our scripts ready. We have our book open. And I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Oh, let me put this other stuff on mute. All right. Sorry, y'all. Let's go. I should have production be like 5, 4, 3, 2. What up, crew? What's good? How y'all feeling? Welcome to another episode. See, I'm already like tripping up on my words. What up, crew? What's good? Welcome to another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. I cannot wait to get into this episode. As always, I'm super ecstatic to do this with you all, okay? So first off, how are we feeling today? How are you really feeling? How was your weekend? And I'm recording actually on the anniversary death of Nipsey Hussle, which I hate saying like the anniversary death, but it's 3 years that he had passed, and I just want to have a moment of silence for him because he is someone that inspires me daily from his music, and particularly the album Victory Lap. I remember the first time I saw Nipsey live, it was at a club in Seattle. And it was a small club, wasn't nothing big. It was before I felt like people knew who Nipsey was. And that'll be a moment I will never, ever forget. So even though he's gone, I still celebrate him in a space of, that's really dope. He contributed a lot, gone too soon, but shout out to Nipsey Hussle. And I just want to do a quick 5 seconds of silence for him, if you could join me for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing that with me. So how are you guys feeling? As you know, I want to make sure that you're good. Like, when I ask you this, I really do care. And I pray that you all are feeling well. And if you're not feeling well, I pray that after listening to this podcast, you feel a little better. I want to be here to encourage you. I pray for the crew, okay? Like, legit. I don't know y'all. I don't see you guys on a regular basis. Some of you guys I do know personally, but I really do pray for the people that I don't know. I pray for the struggles that I don't know about, because I want us to be better. I want us to do better. I want us to feel better. I want us to genuinely be happy. I want us to be able to be in a space where no matter what's going on in the world, nothing can take your joy away, because it's coming from within and our connection with God. So I pray that for you, okay? So let's get into the who gon' check me, boo. And yes, who is always checking us, crew? God is. And what do we like? We love a good check-in. So today's check is coming from the devotional journal, Believe Bigger. Yes. And it actually is coming from day 70. And it's titled Kingdom Seeking. Okay. The scripture comes from Matthew 6:33. It says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." And in the passage, I'm going to pick out the keynotes in the passage that really touched me. And it made it clear that God is the creator, Jesus is the resurrector, the Holy Spirit is the counselor, okay? The good work happened in us before it manifests through us. So that's why it's so important, why I tell you, we have to get what we need from within before it manifests to go out, okay? It starts from being surrendered to the divine building process. Yes, not a moment, not a quick encounter, a process that enables God's promises to take root in us. She says, God isn't trying to get you to do more. God is seeking to get more of himself, his heart, his mind, and his ability in you. A supernatural infilling requires intentional stillness. Imagine this, trying to fill a cup when it's moving all over the place. No, okay? Miracles can't happen if we're too busy to kneel before God and bathe in his presence. Seeking the kingdom by creating time and space for solitude and communion with God is how God shapes us and supplies us for the more he has in store for us. Y'all, so good. And that's why I think it's very important. I think we talked about being intentional with what you do. And I strongly believe being intentional about being in God's presence is the most important thing you can do. I know you have that huge to-do list. We all do. And we try to prioritize ABC, what's most important to least important, and all of that. But let me tell you, I can tell when I haven't been in God's presence. When I start getting flustered and sensitive on the smallest things, or I feel a sense of not control, I can tell I haven't been in God's presence and I haven't been grounded. That's why intentionally this year, I'm trying to make sure every day I'm experiencing God by waking up, even if it's 30 minutes earlier than my child, to read the Bible and pray and journal to him daily, because I can tell when I haven't done that. So trust me, I feel like that is the most important thing, is spending time with him, so that way he can create that space of solitude to commune with him, so he can shape us and supply us with more, because it's already in us, honey. Okay, it just needs to come out. So that was the Who Gon' Check Me Boo. God is always checking us, and we love a good check because it keeps us in check. Okay, so let's get into some CrewLove. And I actually don't I don't have one on the podcast review to read, but I have people text me, and when I see them in person at networking events, they love what I'm doing. But I absolutely love that. But I would really love it if you guys put it on the review. I know Apple Podcasts has a review. So right now, while you're listening to me talk, go put a quick review in. It doesn't have to be long, but just something to show me some CrewLove, and leave me 5 stars. I would absolutely adore and appreciate you for that. And I would really appreciate it, okay? All right. And that is because, you give me CrewLove. I show you some CrewLove by giving away and partnering up with a really dope partnership with Audible. Listen, last week I told y'all that the Will book is in the pipeline. And I know he been on everybody's tongue after what happened. Okay? So it's just so funny. I was just talking about reading the book regardless. And I know people are going to read it even more. So that's just funny how all this happened this week. So I'm still recommending getting the book. And I told you one of my first Audible listens is going to be the Will book. And I'm super excited about that, because I love Will from an actor and grew up with seeing him on TV and all of his movies. One of my favorite Will Smith movies is Independence Day. So I'll definitely be listening to the book. But I wanted to partner up with Audible so we can enjoy books in different ways. And I let you guys know this last week that Audible offers more than just books. They have podcasts, wellness programs, theatrical performances recorded. They have comedy. They have even Audible originals. So get your free 30 days experience through Audible and the Crew Book Club by visiting audibletrial.com/CrewLove. That's www.audibletrial.com/CrewLove. Check it out, okay? I can't wait to listen to this book as well. And if you listen to another book that you think is really dope, recommend them to me. Send them my way, because I would love to listen to some great Audible books. All right, so let's hop into our third book, guys, and it's coming to an end. We'll be going into our 4th book on the next episode, but this is the last 2 chapters of Woman Evolve. Listen, Sarah Jake Roberts, girl, you killed this book. I mean, I love this book, and it's one of those books, I tell you, that I will constantly go back and read when I'm having a moment, when my fear is kicking in, or when I feel like I need a little pick-me-up. I would definitely be pulling this book out. Today, we're finishing the book, ending in chapters 10 and 11. Chapter 10, Don't Do It Alone. And in chapter 11, Wild Woman. Okay? So, chapter 10, Don't Do It Alone. The author starts the chapter off with Mary and Eve, how they share a lot of similarities in how the existence threatened the enemy. And the difference was Eve was aware of what she had chosen, but Mary was not quite sure, on page 161. The author did want to end this book. I'm sorry. the author did not want to end this book without telling us that there will be moments coming that will make us wonder why God chose you to behold his majesty. Listen, on page 162 through 163, it says, when you look back over your life and you see moments when you expected better, but better didn't come, you learn to no longer trust your own heart. When you pursued a plan for which you were passionate, but the plan didn't turn out as you hoped, it trained you not to trust your passion. You can trust God with all your heart. The true question is, can you learn to trust your heart again, even after you've given it to God? Sometimes we talk about trusting God with all our heart, but when you slow the words down and say them intentionally, you'll see that what we're really saying is that we trust God with the eternity of our heart and all of its possesses. When we turn our heart over to God after it's been damaged, wounded, and abused, it's because it needs surgery. It's not because our heart needs to be tucked away in a safe. God brings our heart to a place of healing, perspective, restoration. Then he gives us our heart back and says, woman, evolve. You can trust your becoming because you trusted me with your becoming. This is like personal experience. Y'all, there's so many things that I tried that did not come up pass that I really thought was my thing, and I failed. And I was just like, so how do I even trust myself moving forward? Even with doing the podcast, I was like, man, I tried modeling. I tried acting. I tried it this way. I tried it that way. I tried corporate. And you want me to podcast? And I was like, okay. And you want me to do real estate still? And I was just like, okay. And total honest truth moment, real estate isn't a passion, right? It's a skill of my skills, but I also learned that God wanted me to do real estate because he knew I would take care of his people. And I operated off of honesty, integrity, which you need as a realtor. And I love making people's dreams come true, right? And I feel like because I was obedient to putting my life out for other people doing real estate, he brought podcasting into my life. And it was like this genuine love. It's a non-struggle. I have fear creeps in sometimes, but I've overpassed it because I love doing this so much. And it made me think, as long as I'm obedient to what he's asked of me, he will continue to give me the joys of my life. So I thought this was really cool and how she put it on pages 162 through 163. Okay. And my experience when I really gave God all of my heart completely changed my life. And it's like I couldn't do life alone. I needed God to be a part of my life. You know, so listen to this on page 164. It says, sometimes the only way to survive after we've had an identity shifting experience is to change the way we show up in the world. Oh, that was so good. So good. Before I changed how I started to show up in the world, I struggled with this very thing the author discussed on page 168. It says, it is possible to believe in others, believe in God, but not believe in yourself. When God begins to work in us and then through us, we can begin to trust who we are in him. I may not be able to trust who I am in fear or who I am in my insecurities, but I can trust who I am in God. When I trusted who I am in God, I could stand up to anything that stood in my way without puffed up ego or pride, but with the knowledge that God was working in me. We'll say, you know, I'm giving it to God. I'm leaving it alone. I'm not going to touch it no more. But do we really be meaning that? I'm going to tell you this. I've said it and really didn't mean it. But when it happened, and you can tell, it's like this shift. And I was just like, oh my God, like I really gave this a guy, and look how he showed up. So I really like that. And even I could be telling my friend and giving them the best advice, but not even taking it myself. Don't we do that? So I started, whenever I'm having an issue with something, I always say, well, what would I tell my friend? Like, if my friend was saying this to me, what would I be telling her? So try that, and it does make a difference. Because then I was just like, if my friend came to me struggling, they wanted to give up, I'm going to be like, girl, no, don't give up. You talented. The world needs you. So now when I'm struggling with that, I tell myself those same things. Kind of like, let me put what I would put into someone else into myself. I'm going to talk nice to myself, okay? So definitely try that next time when your mind starts going and wondering. Talk to yourself how you would talk to your best friend and encouraging them, okay? So here's another heavy hitter in chapter 10, Don't Do It Alone, on page 170. It says, for years, through pages 170 and 173, it says, for years, the narrative have been that women don't get along. The reason that narrative that women don't get along can continue to permeate the culture is because our natural inclination to comparison keeps us from authentically celebrating one another. Ooh, hit. Okay, it also says, you have got to get in community with other women who see you worthy of celebration, not competition. If you don't have a room like that, then you have to become the celebration in the room. Some of our friendships are only healthy because we're sick. Who can contest to that? I've had my experiences. It also says on page 172, if you haven't come to a place where you can celebrate another woman, you can get in the room with other favorite women and still feel awkward and out of place because you aren't sure you belong. This isn't just about changing your friend circle. This is a challenge to change how your friendships circle. You may be the champion your community needs. You may be the champion your community needs. You can become the cheerleader in the corner of every woman pursuing her goal and not just the woman you prefer. Listen, it also says this is so good. Maybe you aren't able to galvanize your crew towards change, or maybe you don't even have a crew at all. Consider getting plugged into a network like-minded women who carry the same passion to seek the versions of themselves. Make sure you're in an environment greater expectations as the norm, and becoming better is the organic rhythm that leads your community through life. Welcome to the Crew Book Club podcast. If you don't have that community, the crew is here for you. Okay? Listen, sometimes we have to be the champion. Because it could be nobody in our circle that's like that, but we can be the champions. And that's why I'm really big. Like, I want to curate my friendships to be champions too. And I want them to see me doing it, and it will encourage them to do it as well. So sometimes it just has to start with us. And it's like, let me accept that challenge, because I don't want to leave my friends as I grow. Some may have to get left. But I really don't want to do that. But I definitely want to give them the opportunity too, right? So I really like that, because I feel like as women, we do struggle. We do have that stigma, oh, women don't get along. And particularly, I run into that being a Black woman. So it's like, well, I don't know, all of us together. And you see it on TV shows. You see it. You see it everywhere. But instead of complaining about it, how about you be the person that makes the change? You become the champion in your circle that engage and motivate everybody. So I really like that she didn't leave that standing. And I like also how she put it on page 175. It says, it says, I guarantee you will never lose when celebrating another woman's success. you'll have some encounters that are not meant to be lifelong friendships. So we want so badly to hang on to friendships for a lifetime that may not be everybody's story. But we can make sure the time we've been given leaves a beautiful impression on someone's life forever. What does the great Maya Angelou say? I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And y'all, sometimes what's best for you in a friendship is to walk away. To walk away. And it can't be for a moment. We talked about that on the last episode. Getting out of the boat for a minute to cultivate your space so you can realize what you need to do and become, and then getting back in the boat so then you can be the champion for your crew, because they may need to see you do it before they can do it, because it can be like a little awkward when you're around somebody who like, yep, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm encouraging you. It's like, oh wait, should I really be receiving this? I don't know how to, and it may come out in jealousy and other things, but sometimes we got to show other women how to do it and be that example to them. So I really, really, really love that. Okay, that was chapter 10, Don't Do It Alone. Let's get in chapter 11, Wild Woman. You know, listen closely to this on page 178. It says, I'm telling you this. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Page 178. As we seek to take up our space in our worlds, we must never forget the value of representation. To see glimpses of yourself in the scripture and watch God's full faithfulness to that person is to understand how God can connect with you now. It is equally important that you recognize you are someone's representation. I'm telling you this because I think it's important you realize you are someone else's mirror. The footprints that lead you to the moment are similar to where someone is standing right now. They may never find their way if you don't become the guide. Man, this made me think of the episode 3, What If the World Needs You? We need you. Your friend needs you. It could be your kid. Them seeing you do something can encourage them to do something. Someone is waiting for you. That business that you need to start, someone is waiting for you to start it so you can employ them. Like, you just never know what you could be standing in the middle of. And I really like how she was like, you're someone else's mirror. That was really dope. I appreciate her addressing this as well when it comes to the wilderness, and not always in a literal way like the Bible describes, out in the sea or in a cave. On page 183, it says this. While some of us may not be headed into an actual wilderness, we've been chosen to live in conditions not always hospitable to faith, purpose, creativity, innovation, vulnerability, and authenticity. For some, living in a space of vulnerability feels like being in the wilderness. For others, starting a business or going back to school feels like wilderness. You may choose to stop advocating for everyone else and finally start to look at your own soul, and that feels wow. Whatever your wilderness is, I want you to label it. Because if you label it and you can identify it, it'll help, okay? It says you need the challenge of being out of your comfort zone so you can break up the predictability of your life. Instead of bracing ourselves and waiting for the next wave of change, we are going to vow to become the change. You should know that there is scientific research that proves that when we face with learning a new skill, your brain actually produces new cells. Y'all, I didn't know that. It also says here, the wilderness may be uncultivated, uninhabited, and inhospitable to someone else, but when it's the place God has prepared for you, then it doesn't matter who else wasn't able to stay there. All that matters is that God kept the place on reserve for you. Don't allow the failures of other people to dictate your success. You may be doing something wild and crazy in someone else's perspective, but that's only because they don't understand that God has destined you to be a wild woman. Born to be wild. Yes, sis. Nobody understands what God told you to do in your assignment. So that's where spending time with him is so important, so you can be confident in what he told you. Because God is not a God of confusion. So when you're feeling confused and not knowing what to do, and if someone can come in and change your whole perspective and idea of what you should be doing, but you know God told you to do it, you need to go back to God, spend time with him, and separate yourself so you can feel strongly about it. And let me tell you something. You know when you feel strongly about it. You know when God, because no matter what anybody say, you gonna pursue it and you gonna do it, okay? I had a friend one time, she did a group message asking her about her company name and her idea of what it should be and things. And we had all these ideas for her. And, you know, she listened, she took them and breathed, because you do want to get, you know, you want to get some feedback. But let me tell you what she did. Like, we didn't hear anything back. She didn't send us anything. And then one day we just saw the name and she started promoting it. And she was just like, this is what it is. And I'm not changing. And da-da-da-da. She found her confidence in what she wanted. And that's where you have to get to. Feedback is good. And we know the difference. We talked about it last episode, I think. Correction and criticism. Like, we talked about that, right? But in this instance, it's like she was so confident in what she came up with, she didn't need nobody else's opinion. You know what I'm saying? So she trusted herself. She had confidence in herself. And I'm sure as well, because I know her personally, and her relationship with God, and she knew what God told her to do, and she stuck with that. And what anybody said didn't matter, because that's what God told her to do. All right? So I really appreciated that. I'm going to leave you with this last note in chapter 11 on page 190, on page 191 and 192. It says, this last paragraph, my purpose, Sarah Jakes leaves us with this in the closing of Eve's story is our story. She says, my purpose is to make every woman is awakened. I'm sorry, rewind. In the closing of chapter 11, Wild Woman, of our book, Woman Evolved by Sarah Jakes Roberts, it says, my purpose is to make every woman, I'm getting tongue-tied on this. My purpose is to make sure every woman is awakened to the seed God has placed inside of her, because the woman is usually the last to know that she's the soil. What you allow to take up space in your heart matters. Fear, insecurity, rejection, and abandonment may be living in you, but it cannot stay. Once you know it's in you, you've got to decide that it cannot stay. Girl, you got a world to change. You got you to become, and a tomorrow waiting on you to get this show on the road. Pack up all your second guessing and oxymorons and trust that God will handle them as you go. Woo! This book, y'all, I need y'all to get it. It is just so amazing. I cannot tell you how encouraged I am by reading this book. So definitely check it out. And I just feel like the healing starts within. And this is the type of book that can catapult you to start thinking different and trusting in God in that way. And, you know, I can't even tell y'all how it's helped me. But I also feel like in addition to not doing it alone and you partnering up with God to be in your life, I think also having what's available here in person is important too. You know, I can't even say how therapy has helped me in a sense. Like, yeah, I have God, but I also need therapy too. Okay? And it's all part of the process. And, you know, in times that I do need therapy, I always use BetterHelp, the sponsor of this episode. It's affordable. It's convenient. And it's so funny. I was speaking with a friend who was trying to get a therapist booked in her hometown, and scheduling was like not working with her personal schedule and work schedule. So I recommended BetterHelp to her. And that's another great thing. You can save gas and make it work for your schedule. Okay? So don't forget, Crew, I've partnered up with BetterHelp, and a special offer to the Crew Book Club podcast listeners. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/crewlove. That's better, HELP.com/crewlove. Definitely try it out. I use BetterHelp when I need therapy. Okay? And that's another thing. It's kind of like, when I first started doing it, I did it for like 6 months straight, and I was just like, okay, I need it. Then I felt like, oh, I'm all better. I don't need therapy no more. And then I had this moment, was like, no, I need therapy. And it was easy. I just hopped right back on the app, and I was just like, when's the next schedule? and I could pick it based on my schedule. And one of the therapists was like, well, just text me and let me know what's best for you, and then I can see if I can do that. So definitely check out betterhelp.com/crewlove. Okay? Now let's get into the challenge of the week. The challenge this week is to jot it down. That is the challenge of the week. This challenge this week is to jot it down. Okay? And it's inspired by Sarah Jakes Roberts' book that we just finished on page 186. Okay? So, challenge of the week, jot it down, okay? Inspired on page 186. It says, you're going to have these moments when you have undeniable peace and joy. You'll feel confident in the decisions you make and the plans you're pursuing. You'll feel perfectly aligned with your creator. When those moments come, I don't want you to bask in them without taking a moment to jot down your habits, routines, and thoughts. You need to mark the spots in your habits and routines that allow you to feel more aligned with the highest version of yourself. When you finally know where your place is, it gets easier and easier to return there. So true. I'm going to read that again, because this challenge of the week, jot it down, I love it. And I think this is something that we should do more often. It says, you're going to have these moments when you have undeniable peace and joy. You'll feel confident in the decisions you make and the plans you're pursuing. You'll feel perfectly aligned with your creator. When those moments come, I don't want you to bask in them without taking a moment to jot down your habits, routines, and thoughts. You need to mark the spots in your habits and routines that allow you to feel most aligned with your highest version of self. When you finally know where your place is, it gets easier and easier to return there. This is important. And I've done this challenge before I even read this book. And I could recognize when my spirit was low, when I was getting frustrated, and then I was like, what didn't I do? And I noticed when I wasn't waking up and putting God first and reading the Bible and intentionally spending time with Him, I could be listening to sermons throughout the day while I'm working and probably not totally paying attention. But when I started like sitting down, listening to Him, praying, cutting everything else off, reading my Bible in quietness and stillness, that's when I was able to be calmer and to receive things. And then I was able to go out into the world and be like, whoo, cool, fall off my shoulder. Can't control that. Can't control what they say. Don't get frustrated. That has nothing to do with me. I'm going to stay over here. You know what? I don't know what that person's going through. But in them days where I was like, get out of the way. Why are you in my face? And wanted to react first. I was like, what didn't I do? And now that I know that's what I need to do, I'm more intentional about doing that. And I'll tell people, listen, you better be happy I have a relationship with God. Because if I didn't spend time with God this morning, you might have got a different version of Sade. Okay, so the challenge this week is to jot it down. Okay, let's get into what would the crew do. What is I'm about to go right into the question, y'all. Whew, my neck hurt a little bit. You too, y'all. This junk gonna be so edited. For real, for real. All right, let's get into advice. Okay, I'm back. Let's get into the advice section of the pod. What would the crew do? Yes. This question comes from the crew. It says, what is something you struggle with daily and how do you overcome it? Y'all. Yes. Let me tell you my daily struggle. Lately, my daily struggle has been the pod and making sure like I'm doing it perfectly and it's perfect. And I struggle with perfectionism. It's a bad thing. And I guess that's what you can say I struggle with daily. I feel like things have to be perfect. And I get better at it by just doing it. And when I find myself saying, okay, what they gonna think when I post this, or are they gonna like it? That's when I say, okay, stop, Sade. You can't spend another 20 wasted minutes on this changing it. Just throw it out there and see what happens. And that's how I've been able to deal with the struggle of perfectionism. Just doing it. The moment that I start to second guess what I'm doing it, I just put it out there and I try not to overthink it. So yeah, I think overcoming my perfectionism, and I hope I'm saying that right, is to just do it and don't sweat it. And if I go back and see something I could have fixed, I just change it to next time instead of beating myself up about it. So yeah, that is perfectionism is something that I struggle with daily, and I overcome it by just doing it without it being perfect. Shoot, being on here reading books and words sometimes, because I get tongue-tied and I probably don't always say the word right. At the end of the day, I can only get better by continually doing it. So yeah, that's how I overcome my daily struggle of perfectionism. What is something that you guys struggle with? Share it with me. I would love to know. That way I may be able to help you, and maybe there's something that you do with perfectionism that will help me overcome it as well. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here, but I cannot leave without giving you the quote of the week. The quote of the week comes from page 191 out of our book, Woman Evolve, last episode for this book. It is, do whatever it takes to pick up the broken pieces of your life so you can go out into the world and let other women know that the bruising is not the end, by Sarah Jake Roberts. Y'all have a blessed one. Own it. Be a wild woman, because we were born to be wild. Thanks for hanging with the Crew Book Club. I will see you guys next week.